Horror is a crowded genre within the modern-day cinema landscape. It seems like every year we get new moderate-budget horror flicks that either stick the landing or are underwhelming in several areas. A few studios have stepped up to the bat to deliver iconic horror films over the last few years, such as Neon and A24, but outside of the artistic and indie side of the genre, much of the output from major studios is lackluster at best, showcasing an over-reliance on cheap jump scares instead of truly unsettling the audience and other techniques. Perhaps that's why Parker Finn's Smile was such a welcome addition to the genre back in 2022. On its surface, it seemed a fairly predictable horror flick with a premise that seemed derived from other properties in the last few years. Those who saw the film, however, know that in execution it was anything but. The film took the classic tropes and nuances of other horror films and expanded and improved upon them tenfold. It took the concept of the jump scare and elevated it to an entirely different level with effective ease. It was a truly impressive directorial debut for Finn, and it netted both him and Paramount a great return financially, as it made $217 million on a $17 million budget, which is incredible for a moderate budget horror film like this. It was inevitable then that a sequel would appear eventually, both because of the film's great financial earnings and also the open-ended and shocking conclusion of the first. Parker Finn's newest film, titled Smile 2, opens in a way that you expect most horror sequels to, as it picks up right after the events of the first one. But in a shocking turn of events, the film completely disposes of those plot events and characters of the first, and instead focuses the brunt of the horror on an entirely new cast of characters. Naomi Scott plays famous pop singer Sky Riley, who is preparing to launch a new world tour after a previous accident left her both physically and emotionally scarred. With no time to spare, the film yet again introduces the concept of the smiling figure that haunts Sky, and she must work to ensure she defeats the creature before it catches up to her and finishes her. This is truly Scott's film to shine through and through. She not only delivers an effective performance with the material she's given, but she goes well above and beyond, delivering one of the finest horror performances of the last 10 years. This is truly such an impressive and shocking performance, filled with so much nuance and careful emotional poignancy throughout. As we watch Sky struggle to grapple not just with the events she's experiencing, but also the grief she still holds on to, Scott instills such a relatability within her character, with careful nuances throughout, that it makes the downfall of her character so much more tragic and heartbreaking to watch. Parker Finn showcases a true elevation of his game here in such an impressive turn. The first Smile film was well directed without a doubt, but this is Finn operating on a creative level unlike any I've seen from him previously, and it's so cool to watch a filmmaker like this, who is so new to the scene, truly embrace a set style with the visionary mindset. Some of the shots in this film are truly so innovative and stylistic, and the overall atmosphere and look of the film is also impressive. Finn knows how to frame shots to showcase where the elements of the scene we're supposed to be scared of lie outside of the frame, meaning we have to rely on our own perceptions to locate the present threat, which is truly such an effective and terrifying turn. Each jump scare here is so well directed and choreographed for maximum effectiveness. Speaking of leveling up, the film also heightens the frightening imagery of the first with splatters of shocking gore that are completely unexpected, given the somewhat tame imagery of the first. It's truly a film where there are moments you might have to look away from the screen, and it makes for an uncomfortable viewing experience where the audience themselves are squirming right alongside the characters. As the plot progresses and Sky falls deeper and deeper into her paranoia and delusions, we as audience members are transported right into that headspace alongside her character, leading to shocking moments where you struggle to make sense of what is reality versus fiction within the film's plot. The film slowly simmers throughout, taking the time to establish character depth and arcs before ramping up the tension in such a huge way. The final half hour is absolute insanity. The film culminates in a plot twist that left me absolutely rattled, and the final sequence is an actual trip. I walked out of the theater rattled to my core, which is rare for many mainstream horror films to do, let alone a movie like this. While the film itself is better than it has any right to be, the longer pacing allows for slower moments throughout where the audience can definitely feel that runtime as it stretches out, and the slower sequences feel out of place amid the rest, as frightening moments of peril are intercut with slower and somber character moments. This makes for more effective stakes, but also slows down the energy it had going throughout. The plot itself also features some moments where the audience has to stop questioning the reality of such a situation and must suspend their disbelief in order to truly go along for the ride. Again, such a quality is not necessarily a knock on the film, but it also makes for an experience that leaves you yearning for any sort of explanation to the wide world building Finn has put on display here. It's also somewhat disappointing to see a film like this start to break apart from the confines of the first in such a major way, but ultimately somewhat try to fall back and replicate some of the strengths of the first. While it doesn't happen often throughout the film, it still does happen, and some portions essentially feel like a rehash of the first, albeit with a new glossy cover shimmering over them. It's different enough to stand apart for a large majority of the runtime, but it falls into this trap more often than you might expect. It makes some portions of the experience predictable and somewhat derivative, but it ultimately doesn't distract too much from the overall finished product. Overall, Smile 2 is a rare sequel that not only stands apart from its predecessor, but improves upon it tenfold. The tension is effective, the scares themselves are truly jaw-dropping, and it feels well done on such an artistic and cinematic level. This is the rare kind of mainstream major studio horror flick that rises above the rest to showcase the true strengths of the genre with ease. That's why I'm giving Smile 2 a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this review on my channel. If you're new around here and you like the content you see, don't forget to click that subscribe button down below, like the video, and turn on push notifications. Also, leave comment suggestions down below for future video, essay, and review topics. With that being said, until next time, this is Mitchell signing off. Peace out.